Welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. Going to make something really Irish because it's St Patrick's Day. Barnbrack or tea loaf. It is very nearly St Patrick's Day, so let's quickly make a video for a very Irish dish. We're going to make Barmbrack, a very, very fruity Irish tea loaf or tea cake. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with it, but it's going to be delicious. Alright, so there's a selection of dried fruits. We've got some sultanas, some raisins, there's some mixed peel, we've got some dried cranberries, but it's whatever you fancy. And that is honest Irish tea. It's black tea, breakfast tea. And that is Irish whiskey. And of course the recipe required for 50 ml, so I had to put in a little wee drop more. Sorry, try not to do any more Irish accents. Soak the fruit overnight at least, or maybe like 10 hours, whatever. However long overnight is, I suppose. Depends what time you go to bed. Anyway, cover that, put that in the fridge, and then the next day I'm buttering a nice loaf tin. This is a nice non-stick one. This should be good anyway, but give it a nice buttering and keep that in the fridge while you do this. So I'm using a self-raising or self-rising flour. That is mixed spice, and on the screen you can see the selection of spices that are included in it, and then you will understand why I buy the stuff and don't try to make my own. Why would you? But it adds a really lovely flavour to it. Synonymous as well with Easter and Christmas. It's that sort of lovely sweet spiciness. So give that a little bit of a whisk together to get it all mixed in nicely. Make a well in the centre and crack in a couple of eggs. So Barnbrack, Barmbrack, there's so many different ways of saying it. It's a tea cake. It looks like it translates as to speckled loaf. So Barin meaning loaf and Breck meaning speckled. Again, my pronunciation will be awful. What you see me doing there, by the way, while I'm waffling, is mixing a little bit of the liquid from the fruit into the eggs. I'm trying to create like a bit of a slurry, and then we're going to beat this mixture to try to get a nice sort of really wet, sticky dough. And as we need more liquid, we'll add more liquid. You may ask, why don't you just dump it all in one go, fruit and liquid? I say, I don't know. That's what the recipe said, so that's what I'm doing. But you carry on if you feel like doing it that way. I'm sure it'll be fine. The Irish celebrate Halloween with Barnbrack, or Irish tea loaf. And traditionally, a ring should be placed into the batter before it's cooked. And whoever gets the serving with the ring, you guessed it, within the next year will be getting married. I'm already engaged, and so I didn't need to do it. But also, I didn't have a ring, so I didn't do it. But there we go. You can see that mixture now. I'm thinking, no, I don't think it's quite wet enough, so we'll basically try to get the rest of the liquid in there. You may not need to. You may not need all of the liquid. Some of the recipes say it's variance. Who knows why? These things vary sometimes. They just do. It's not an exact science. But that's looking good. A nice sort of dropping consistency. So let's just whack in all of the fruit now. So you can see this is not going to be a nice light Victoria sandwich sponge. This is going to be a proper, heavy, solid, well-preserved fruit loaf. It's going to be absolutely delicious. And there's me thinking, just before I put it in now, maybe I want an extra layer of security to make sure this thing comes out. So a bit of baking parchment. Feel free to do that or not do that. Up to you. And get all of your mixture in. So there you go. I swapped that wooden spoon for my trusted spatula. Looking good. And as I say, that is a 900-gram loaf tin, which is about 2 pounds. That's after about 15 minutes in the oven. This took 1.5 hours. It's very dense. There's an awful lot of moisture in there, and depending on the sort of the shape and size of your loaf tin or cake mold that you use, cooking times may vary. So I'll leave that up to you. Basically, when your skewer is clean, it's ready, take it out, and the hardest part now is leaving this thing. Do not cut into it. If you cut into it while it's hot or even just still warm, the moisture, the steam's going to come out and you're going to lose an awful lot of moisture from that. So that is an absolute key thing for you to do. So let's cut off a nice slice, shall we? And let's have a look at the cross section of this. Binging with Babish fans will love that. Very nicely distributed fruit. So happy with it. And we had it later on with cheese. Absolutely gorgeous. But I'm going to pass you back over to me now. Right then, so that is Barnbrack, or Irish fruit loaf, Irish tea loaf, done. Whacking great big smudge of butter on it, of course. Butter makes everything better. And a nice cup of tea, of course. What's that? Is it Irish tea? Yeah, of course it is. Anyway. Absolutely delicious. I was worried that it was going to be too stodgy. It's heavy. It's like a brick, really, but it's so full of fruit and moisture that it's going to be. But that is going to keep. That's going to keep a lot longer than a normal sponge cake. So I hope you give this one a go. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Catch you in the next video. Come real soon. Bye.